Good morning. My name is Kathy Berlin, and it feels really good to be here with you today. I always appreciate the opportunity to be in a room with a group of individuals who are committed to public health and specifically emergency preparedness and response. I truly believe that a robust logistics plan and the ability to implement that plan is really important in any public health emergency response. So today we're going to talk about the development, training, and management of a logistics team, and hopefully that'll improve your capabilities when you are deploying in a logistical situation. I have the honor of serving as the coordinator of the University of Minnesota Medical Reserve Corps. Our Medical Reserve Corps is comprised of faculty, staff, and students of the Academic Health Center. And our Academic Health Center is home to our School of Nursing, our medical school, dental school, School of Public Health, our veterinary med school, and our College of Pharmacy. And we are all set and ready to respond to campus, regional or local, state or national emergencies. We've been deployed on our campus. We've been deployed in Minnesota, Iowa, and Louisiana. We have 1,200 members in our Medical Reserve Corps, and we have established 6 strike teams within our Medical Reserve Corps. So we have a behavioral health response strike team, vet med response team, a pharmaceutical repackaging strike team, fit testing strike team, and a logistics strike team. Our Medical Reserve Corps is written into all the campus emergency operations plans. We also are a partner of the Metro Mutual Aid Agreement. We were approached years ago to develop a pharmaceutical repackaging team as a part of the Metro Farm Cash Plan, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. We also have agreed to serve as one of Hennepin County's points of dispensing. And our Medical Reserve Corps, the 1,200 members, will staff this point of dispensing, and our logistics team will also serve in that capacity. So the first thing that we did when we decided that we wanted to develop a logistics team is we decided we had to determine the function and the purpose of the team within our agency. And so, of course, we decided they would be responsible for resource management. And that means that they're going to be responsible for any Medical Reserve Corps activity, not only deployments, but also team meetings, team trainings, drills, and exercises. They're also responsible for setting up the supplies and the equipment before the deployment or the training, and also they're responsible for the supply management during a deployment or a training. And we also ask that they serve as, they register individuals who are participating in an event or a deployment, and they are responsible for the care and feeding of the individuals involved in the deployment or the training event. So what does a logistics strike team look like? Well, really, it doesn't look any different than the group we have sitting in front of us here. They're a good-looking group who are really interested in logistics. Okay, so we have 3 team leaders in our logistics strike team, and we have students, staff, and faculty who serve as our team members. And currently, we have about 50 logistics strike team members, which is a really nice size. We originally started out with 10 members on our team, and that was in about 2008. Okay, as I mentioned, we have 3 strike team leaders, and we do this, of course, for redundancy purposes. So if one of our strike team leaders is unavailable for a deployment, we have 2 others that we can call upon. And we do have some deployments where we're going to need all 3 strike team leaders to be present. Our logistics strike team leader serves as a liaison between our logistics chief and our MRC logistics team. They oversee team activities during deployments, drills, and exercises. They're responsible for just-in-time training and for handing out assignments. And as I mentioned earlier, we utilize our strike team for all MRC activities. So they're not going to be just utilized during deployments. Otherwise, you can imagine they might only be deployed once a year. So we utilize them for any MRC team meetings, any strike team meetings, any trainings, any drills and exercises and deployments. And I'll give you an example of all these events here. Okay, so I had mentioned that we have 6 strike team strike teams, and they meet many times throughout the year. So we utilize our logistics strike team to set up for that meeting. And if we have a training for that particular strike team, they do the physical setup for that as well. They also serve as the registration and the check-in clerks. So when participants show up, and I'm trying to get ready to present, I'm not sitting there trying to check people in too. So it's really helpful to have this logistics team doing that for us. And then again, it's super great to have individuals there for takedown, because you know, as planners of events, it's really hard when you're the presenter and you're doing your thing, and then afterwards you have to take everything down and get it back to the storage room. This is a photo of a recent training/team meeting that we had in March, and this was for our pharmaceutical repackaging team. And you can see here in this picture that we have two of our MRC logistics strike team members serving as the registration clerks. So they're responsible for signing participants in, and then if need be, if it's a new member and they haven't received their MRC t-shirt or their badge, they'll hand them the badge as well. And this is a photo of the same training. So these members here are learning how to repackage medication. And so we had logistics strike team members who served as supply staff. And we have a School of Public Health student named Jordan, and he was responsible for making sure that each table had the supplies they needed. So in this case, we used M&Ms in lieu of medicine, and he made sure that each table constantly had enough M&Ms, plastic bags, labels, and things like that. Okay, our Medical Reserve Corps offers bystander CPR throughout the year. And so we requested or utilized our logistics strike team to help set that up. So they set up the signs, the tables, the equipment, and contrary to popular belief, I do not have enough hot air to inflate 50 of those mannequins. So I asked 5 or 6 of our MRC logistics strike team members to assist with the inflation of those mannequins. And then following the training, we had logistics strike team members who could help us take down the site. And we hold these bystander CPR trainings all over campus, so it's really nice to have our logistics team there to help us. Okay, we execute at least one significant drill or exercise within our MRC once a year. And this is a really good way to train our MRC logistics strike team members. If we only deployed our MRC logistics strike team for deployments, you can imagine that it would be hard to keep their skills up, and it's also really hard to keep them engaged. If they join a team and they're deployed once or twice every 2 years, they might even forget they're on the team. So that's why we use our team as often as we possibly can. And usually drills and exercises are pretty fun. So they, again, will assist us with the physical setup of the tables, the chairs, any equipment that we're going to be using during the drill or the exercise. Again, there are registration clerks. And during the drills and exercises, they will restock supplies as we go. Okay, so last March, we executed our most ambitious drill to date. As I had mentioned earlier, we are approached by the State Health Department to develop what's called a pharmaceutical repackaging team. So in the event that the Metro Farm Cash Plan is activated, 120 of our MRC members have been trained to serve as repackagers of medication for mission-critical personnel. So in the Metro Farm Cash, those medications are in bulk form, and we need to repackage those into single-use regimens. In this photo here, we have Peter, who is one of our logistics strike team leaders, and Carol, a logistics strike team member, and they're helping us get ready for this drill. And you can see they're smiling, and they're having fun. And this is really common with our logistics strike team. It's usually, they're really happy to be there and help out. Our motto during this drill was practice as you play. Okay? So we know in a real situation when this team is activated that there's going to be a heightened level of security. So we instructed all the participants, 120, that they needed to bring their photo IDs. So you can see there sitting at the table is one of our MRC logistics strike team members, and Chris. And Chris was trained to ask them to show their ID, then they'd have them sign in, and they were directed to go to the drill location. And here's two of our other logistics strike team members who were there signing in participants and observers and evaluators. Okay. So you can imagine, before this drill, all these M&Ms were sitting in my office. It was not a good thing. I was glad to get them out. And we needed a lot of logistical support to set up this drill. So even before the participants arrived, we needed to have all these bowls filled with the M&Ms, which served as the medication when we repackaged them. And here's a photo of what the area looked like before our participants arrived. So this is what the logistics strike team set up. You can see that there's bowls of the M&Ms, and then on the corners of the tables, there's instructions and forms for the participant and all the supplies they need, the little plastic bags and the labels. So I'll mention here, before every deployment, before any activity, when they show up, our MRC logistics strike team members are provided all the instructions they need. So their team leader gives them a form, and it says, this is how you set up a table. Okay, so they get really specific instructions. It makes their job really easy. And we probably had this set up in 20 minutes. And this is an aerial view of that. And this is a picture of the drill as it was actually taking place. So in this picture are the participants. And in this photo, we have our logistics strike team members. And so what they did during the drill is, as we were instructing the individuals on how to repackage, we also had timing sessions because in a real situation, they need to repackage very, very quickly. So in 10 or 15-minute increments, we would be having the participants repackage the medications. And when they needed additional supplies, they'd raise the flag, and the logistics strike team would run out and give them the labels, the plastic bags, additional M&Ms. We could not have done this drill without logistical support. I like to show this picture because, again, it's a logistics strike team member with a smile on his face. This is Luke. He recently graduated. He's a med student now in San Francisco, but really instrumental in the success of this drill. I think, as I mentioned before, the University of Minnesota has agreed to host one of Hennepin County's 8 mass dispensing sites in the event that we need to safely and efficiently dispense medications to the public. The Office of Emergency Response, which is where our Medical Reserve Corps is housed, is responsible for establishing and maintaining this site. In 2009, we executed our point of dispensing drill, and our MRC logistics team, they were instrumental in the success of this drill. We had our mass dispensing site or point of dispensing site set up in less than 2 hours. So again, they arrived on site. They were getting very clear instructions on how to set up the site. In fact, we had a sheet for them that went so far as saying, set up this piece of tape 10 feet from the wall, set this table up 6 feet from the wall, and they set up our queuing lines, and they did a fabulous job. And it took about 10 of those logistics strike team members to do that. During this drill and in a real event, we would also utilize our facilities management. So it would be our MRC logistics team setting up our point of dispensing and facilities management. And the facilities management individuals, they set up the heavier equipment and some of the larger signs outside. The reason I bring this up is because when I was driving out here, I drove past your Public Works department. And I realized that when you start thinking about developing a logistics strike team, that public health departments might look at Public Works departments and facilities management to be a part of your logistics strike team. Again, we will use our logistics strike team for any deployment on campus. They will assist with the physical setup, assist with providing staff needs. So if it's a deployment, let's say where we activate our point of dispensing and we have a staff staging area, our MRC logistics strike team will be responsible for setting up that staging area and then staffing that area so that when people have breaks, they will get them the food and the water and whatever else they need. And they'll also restock supplies. So if you think about a point of dispensing operations, there's lots of supplies, lots of medication, And our logistics strike team will serve as the supply runners and the supply staff to make sure that everybody gets what they need. And they'll also be asked to stay and take down any deployment site. Okay, so in 2008, our MRC participated in a deployment that involved mass vaccination efforts at the university. There were multiple vaccination sites set up throughout campus. That day we actually broke the world record for the amount of seasonal vaccine given in one day. Our MRC staffed a really large tent in Northrop Mall. And here is a picture of me giving instructions to the staff staging Medical Reserve Corps member, part of the logistics team. And she was staffing the check-in and check-out area. So individuals come in, they'd show their ID again, sign in, and then they'd receive any equipment, their job action sheet, and things like that. Question? Good question. So the question was, how did we coordinate the MRC with other staff? At this particular tent, and this particular site, all staffed by MRC, except for just a few nurses from the Minnesota Visiting Nursing Association. So we deployed about 200 MRC members. So it's a really good question, but that does happen. For instance, when we set up our point of dispensing and we're working with the facilities management, I have to coordinate our MRC members with the facilities management. So this is what it looked like that day in the tent. So we had our vaccinators there, and then in the corner here, if you can see that, those are our logistics strike team members who served as supply runners. It was a really fun day. Prior to the operations of the clinic or the site, our MRC logistics team set up all the supplies, and here they are ready to go. So if a nurse needed more Band-Aids or more vaccine, they'd raise the number at their table, and one of our members would run and see what they need, and then go back and get it for them. Again, these kind of events really serve as training events too for these members, because these logistics strike team members realize this is what happens when I sign up for a deployment of this size. I'm going to go in, I'm going to sign in, I'm going to get my assignment, I'm going to meet with my team leader, and then I'm going to be assigned a position. So I think in the back of your book you have two documents that we included. One is the roles and responsibilities for the logistics strike team leader, and the other is the roles and responsibilities for the team members. So as far as training, it's mandatory for them to view our MRC online orientation, and they're also required to view 3 online modules. One is personal and family preparedness, the second is the mass dispensing site primer, and the third is the ICS and NIMS module. We also require that they take part in team notification drills. And the purpose of those drills are to familiarize these members with how are they going to get notified if they're needed in a deployment. And we do this via text and email, primarily text, because we want to make sure, we don't know for sure if the phones or the emails are going to be working, so we text them. And we do that twice a year. We also ask that they stay current on MRC activities. So we send out an MRC newsletter every month. And we want them to make sure that they're reading it so that there isn't something that is involving the logistics strike team that they might be interested in. We also ask that they attend 1 to 2 logistics team meetings a year. I didn't mention, I meant to mention this earlier, that after we determined what the purpose and the function of our team is, we had to come up with a recruitment plan. So it's really important. And what we do every year is we send out an email twice a year to specifically recruit for the logistics strike team. We also place an article in our newsletter, and that describes what a logistics strike team is and why you might be able to attend. We also do some target recruitment, and we do that, we send specific recruitment emails to 2 groups, and that's the students and the staff. And we do that primarily because we feel that oftentimes those individuals don't have a healthcare professional license or certification, and they really want to be involved in an emergency response. And so the logistics strike team is sometimes a good fit for them. So recruitment is a really important piece of developing an MRC logistics strike team or a logistics strike team. Okay, so we meet twice a year, no matter what, even if we have to or not. We always gather our team together twice a year. And at the end of the meeting, we try to have some kind of activity for them to do. So this past fall, we asked our team members to help us with the inventory of some of our mass dispensing site supplies. So this is Judith and Carlos, and they were looking through our bins with our pennies, and they would take the ones out that were either soiled or ripped, and they'd set those aside and then place the rest back in the bins. And here are some students, and they're helping us with our sign inventory. So it's a good way to, if you have little projects to do, you kind of tack that onto a team meeting. And this helped introduce our team members to some of the aspects of mass dispensing. So they became familiar with the signs. And here's some more students and more signs. So listed here are some of the activities that our logistics strike team members participated in this year. Every year we have 200 or 300 new members join our MRC. And rather than have them 200 or 300 parade into my office and pick up their badge and their t-shirt, we hold badge distribution events. So what we do is we set up a table somewhere that's really convenient for the students and the staff and faculty in another building. And we ask that logistics strike team members staff that. So what they do is the person comes in, they show their ID, they hand them their MRC badge and their t-shirt. Again, it's another way to engage them. So that's really important, is engagement. Keep your members engaged or they are going to forget they're on a team. We do offer the MRC pharmaceutical repackaging team training twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring. And again, we need a lot of logistical support for that event. Every MRC training event, no matter how small, any meeting, a strike team event, we do utilize our MRC logistics strike team. And then again, we'll use them for any deployment on campus and possibly off campus if necessary. I like to end with this picture because it illustrates two things. In 2008, we had 10 people on our logistics strike team. Really great people. It was really fun. We have over 50 people now. Okay, so we've grown and we've become stronger. The other thing this photo illustrates, again, is that people are having fun. These members are really excited that they have an opportunity to be of service to their community during a public health emergency. And the Medical Reserve Corps is a vehicle to do that. So that's the end of the presentation. I did not include my personal contact information in the PowerPoint. So I do have my cards here. And if you guys want anything, I can share any tools that we've used. There are a couple in the back of your handbook, but feel free to contact me if you have any more questions. Are there any questions right now? I think we're good. Thank you.